Yes, the communicator of the problem I mentioned earlier continues to ask you to stop thanking me for health reasons. The sickest and hardest person right now is the victim teacher. When you teach your students not to lie and apologize if you do something wrong, you wonder why your instructor doesn't keep his words.
December 4 School Diary. One of the biggest things that bothers me these days is the role of the manager. What role does the position of principal have to play? What do you need to prepare to be a good manager? To find answers to these questions, I search the internet training materials every night, analyze the best practices and failures of managers, and read related literature and books. But even though I read so many materials, it strangely doesn't touch my skin. It feels like something cold and real is missing, like the cold of a country school. In particular, the concern about the role of communion leads me to deeper thinking. I have studied the training and looked for materials, but the ideal communicator I picture in my head and the communicator I encounter in reality are very different. Why do teachers look at the principal as representatives? Just because your promotion is a little late doesn't mean the world will fall apart, but I can't understand why you're paying so much attention. Reminds me of a teacher I used to work with. He was more energetic and kind to his students than anyone else when he was a teacher, but he completely changed after he became a teacher. During the meeting, I was intimidated by the principal's expression, and when the teachers conveyed my opinions to the principal, I always showed an ambiguous attitude. When he was a teacher, he encouraged us by saying that he believed in teachers, but when we actually became interlocutors, the teacher's position was on the verge, and he seemed more worried about how he would appear to the principal. Every time I saw him, this thought came to mind. Whom is he a communicator for? Is he a person for the teacher? Or is he a person to impress the principal? Does the goal of promotion change people like this? Or does the position of communicator originally make people like this? This happened once. Before the parent consultation week, it was a time for teachers to report the materials they had prepared to their supervisor. Most of the teachers, including myself, prepared materials filled with ideas and efforts and proudly submitted them. But the professor pointed out one thing. I don't think that's your style. Let's change it a little cleaner. Repeat the correction like that. In the end, the color I originally planned disappeared everywhere. In the process, the teachers' faces were full of disappointment and dissatisfaction. Do we need to care so much? Voices were heard here and there. That night I sat at my desk and asked myself a question. What if I become a communicator later? You shouldn't be like this. But still, fear came over me. Am I confident that if I stand in the same position, I won't change that much? So I study hard these days. I am trying to learn only the good things by watching my senior instructors and carefully chart my path forward. But this is not easy. I want to understand the teacher's position and represent that voice. At the same time, I also feel the reality that cannot be escaped from the framework of the role of a manager. Still, I don't want to give up hope. What a senior exchange teacher told me not long ago comforted me. Don't put too much pressure on Sam. You can't suddenly become perfect just because you become a communicator. Just treat teachers as they are. I think that's the first difficult one. It's actually the easiest way. I laughed for a long time after hearing those words. It sounds plausible, but I know how difficult it is to practice, so there was a little bitterness mixed in my laughter. These days, I spend my days going back and forth between agony and pain. However, there is a small promise on one side of my mind. If I were to become a communicator, I would at least be a person who would not forget my current worries and protect them. Administrators who understand the position of teachers and walk with them. I don't know how hard it is, but I still want to be. even in the midst of all these worries, I try not to lose my smile. Take it easy, and take another step forward today. It was meticulous.